Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're jumping into, well, a really fascinating space, the online community platform market. Yeah, it's kind of exploding right now. Our mission really is to unpack why it's growing so fast, based on some pretty extensive research looking all the way out to 2033. And when I say exploding, check this out. Global market value was $408.59 million in 2021, projected to hit $736.9 million by 2025, nearly double. But then the projection jumps to a massive $2.39 billion by 2033. That works out to a very robust 15.886% compound annual growth rate. That CAGR just shows this isn't a blip, right? It's steady, powerful growth. Digital communities are just essential now.
Absolutely. And those numbers, they're not just big figures on a page. They really signify, fundamental shifts. This huge growth isn't random. It's being driven by faster tech adoption globally, plus this real increasing need, both socially and for businesses, for these kinds of platforms. They're becoming, well, almost like critical infrastructure for how we connect. And just to clarify, when this research talks about the online community platform market, it means specific software for groups like forums, support portals, professional networks, educational groups, not just, general social media.
That's a really important distinction. Clears things up. So, okay, let's look at the global picture. Where is this growth happening? Let's maybe take a quick tour around the world. Right, North America, for example. Still seems like a powerhouse, yeah. Revenue expected to go from about $152 million in 2021 up to, wow, $846 million by 2033. That's a 15.383% CAGR, still really strong.
Yeah, it is. And if you dig into North America, well, the U.S. is obviously the main engine there. It's projected to hit over $700 million by 2033, starting from about $127.5 million. That's a steady 15.257% CAGR. And a lot of that, is not just consumer stuff. It's heavily influenced by businesses using these platforms for customer loyalty, internal comms, especially with hybrid work.
Yeah.
That B2B side is key there.
Right, the enterprise angle. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not only the U.S. Canada looks strong, too, predicted to grow to over $76 million by 2033. That's a 16.4 CAGR, even a bit higher. And Mexico's contribution is significant as well, heading towards $70 million. So it seems like the whole continent is really leaning into these platforms.
Definitely. Okay, so let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, also showing really solid expansion. The projection there is from around $89 million in 2021 to nearly $500 million. $493.7 million by 2033. The CAGR is pretty similar, 15.4%.
Interesting. But Europe's so diverse linguistically, culturally, and the regulations like GDPR. How do these platforms navigate that? Is it different from North America?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's definitely a mix. You see global players, sure, but success often comes down to being culturally aware and, crucially, compliant. Take Germany, for example. Projected to grow to over $105 million, strong 16.17% CAGR. But there, data privacy is huge. Platforms need that trust. Same story, different flavors. In the UK, heading to $75 million, and France, over $63 million. Both growing fast, but you need to understand the local nuances.
Okay, so it's not just plug and play. Adaptation is key. And beyond those big three, you've got Italy, Spain, Sweden, all looking at hitting well over $25 million each by 2033, with KGRs in that mid-teen range. It really paints a picture of broad digital uptake across Europe.
Now, okay, here's where the story gets even more dramatic, I think. Asia Pacific.
Right.
The growth there is just, accelerated. A remarkable 16.888% CAGR. It jumps from about $102 million in 2021 to potentially $666 million by 2033. That's the highest regional growth rate we're seeing.
Wow, $666 million. That is a leap. What's fueling that specifically in APAC? Is it different from, say, Europe?
It is, yeah. It's not just population, though that helps. Often you see this leapfrogging effect. A lot of users are mobile first, smartphones are primary access. Plus, you have unique digital payment systems integrated. So communities pop up around niche interests, e-commerce, brands talking directly to consumers. It's very dynamic. China, for instance, leads in sheer size, projected over $213 million, with a 17% CAGR. But actually, India is growing fastest in the region, an incredible 17.7% CAGR, going from roughly $16 million to over $112 million.
Wow, India's growth is really something else.
It is. And Japan's significant, too, heading over $105 million.
And you also mentioned South Korea, Singapore, Southeast Asia, Taiwan. All seem to be booming as well.
Exactly. South Korea over $54 million, Singapore hitting over $60 million, but with a very high 17.4% CAGR. And Southeast Asia as a collective area that's growing at nearly 18% CAGR, from about $5.5 million to almost $39 million. It's just innovation is happening incredibly fast across the board there.
Incredible pace. Okay, let's shift gears. South America, what's the picture there?
South America also shows really strong momentum. The region overall is projected to grow from about $26 million in 2021 to almost $160 million by 2033. Solid 16.2% CAGR there. It tells you digital infrastructure is maturing, access is growing, and people are engaging.
Right. And Brazil, being the biggest economy, must be a large part of that. Looks like nearly $60 million projected by 2033. And Argentina actually seems to be growing even faster. A 16.8% CAGR, heading towards $28 million. What does that tell us?
Yeah, Brazil's key, but Argentina's faster growth rate is interesting. It points to maybe a really vibrant startup scene, rapid adoption of digital tools by businesses of all sizes, and you see strong growth in Colombia, Peru, Chile too. It's a widespread digital shift across the continent's economies.
Okay, good context. Now, what about the Middle East? You called it an emerging market. The projection is from about $21.6 million up to nearly $130 million by 2033. That's a 16% CAGR. Quite a jump.
It is a significant jump. It signals real strategic investment in digital transformation there. Key players are Saudi Arabia, projected around $33 million, and Turkey, maybe $26 million. But the UAE really stands out. High growth from only about $3.5 million over $22 million. That's a 16.8% CAGR. Points to strong government pushes and private sector buy-in.
Very interesting dynamic in the UAE.
Yeah.
Okay, last stop on our world tour. Africa. Starting smaller, yes, around $17 million in 2021, but projected to hit over $100 million by 2033. Still a very respectable 15.5% CAGR. Lots of potential.
Absolutely. Definitely poised for growth. South Africa is leading the pack there. Expected to grow from about $6 million to over $38 million. That's a 16.2% CAGR. And Nigeria is also a major contributor, projected to reach over $17 million. So you see consistent growth across the continent, driven by better digital literacy, more smartphones, people using online platforms for all sorts of things, social and economic. So yeah, when you step back and look at all these regions, all these numbers, the consistent theme is just high velocity growth everywhere. And like we said, it's not just numbers, it's reflecting a really profound global shift towards digital connection. These platforms are becoming fundamental. How businesses run, how we learn, how we connect. It's not just a trend, it feels more like a fundamental rewiring.
That's a really powerful way to put it, rewiring. So this huge growth, this isn't just something niche, it's clearly a foundational shift happening.
Exactly. And given this explosive growth and how much we're starting to rely on these online communities,
Yeah.
it really makes you think, doesn't it? How might this fundamentally change how businesses connect with you, the customer? How education might evolve, or even just, how our social circles form and stay connected across distances. What are the implications for you listening now as a consumer, maybe a professional, just a member of different communities as we head into this, well, very connected future?
Some really big questions to think about there. Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the online community platform market. We hope you'll continue thinking about these trends. Until next time.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take, well, a whole stack of sources, articles, research that you send us, and we really try to pull out the most important bits of knowledge for you. Today, we're diving into something that's just become so central, hasn't it? How we connect, how we learn, even how we work. We're talking about the really vibrant world of online community platforms. So our mission, as always, is to cut through all the noise, give you a shortcut, really, to being properly informed on this market because it is moving fast. We want to help you understand what's actually important here, maybe connect some dots that aren't immediately obvious. Okay, so let's unpack this then. We're seeing this huge surge in digital community spaces. What exactly is driving this? Is it just the remote work thing, or is there something deeper maybe? Like, are people looking for belonging in a way that maybe, the bigger social media platforms aren't delivering anymore?
That's a really good question. And yes, absolutely. I mean, remote work definitely kicked things into high gear. But what's really interesting, I think, is how companies are using these platforms to tap into something more fundamental. It's that craving for real connection and also for actionable information. It's not just passively scrolling anymore. It's about active participation. And businesses, they get this. They realize they can foster proper two-way communication. They can gather incredibly valuable feedback almost in real time and, enhance loyalty significantly. It turns users into advocates, really. It's strategic. Goes way beyond just like a support channel.
Yeah, that makes sense. It reminds me of that desire for something more specific, more curated maybe. And this is where I think it gets really interesting. this explosion of niche communities. Communities based on specific interests or professions. We're talking healthcare pros swapping insights or software engineers working together on complex projects, even photographers sharing really specialized techniques.
Exactly.
And it's not just hobbyists, right?
Yeah.
It feels like a bigger shift towards, well, finding your tribe online, away from the noise. And that must be pushing the tech side, too. Meeting platforms that are super customizable, scalable, and crucially, well-moderated.
Absolutely. It implies a whole new kind of digital interaction. And if you connect that to the business world, the enterprise level, it's not just social stuff. Lots of companies are adopting these platforms as a core part of their customer support. You see it a lot in SaaS, gaming, consumer electronics, those kinds of areas. These communities, they really help cut down support costs massively sometimes because users help each other out, right? Peer-to-peer support. You're essentially crowdsourcing solutions. Plus, it makes knowledge bases easily accessible. It's a shift, definitely, from reactive support calls to something much more proactive, community-led.
Okay, so the growth is clear. The drivers are powerful. But, like anything that grows this fast, there have got to be bumps in the road, challenges. What are some of the big hurdles in actually building and, maybe more importantly, sustaining these communities, especially once that initial excitement fades?
Yeah, sustainability, that's the key question, isn't it? Longevity. Because, look, launching a community might seem easy enough on the surface, but keeping people genuinely engaged over the long haul, that's a really formidable challenge. You have to provide consistent value, something that evolves. So many platforms see this big drop-off after the novelty wears off, or maybe the main problem the community solved isn't so urgent anymore. If you don't have that steady stream of fresh content or events or really active, purposeful moderation that keeps conversation going, people just drift away, become inactive. It's like tending a garden. You said it earlier. You can't just plant the seeds and expect it to flourish on its own.
And the moderation part.
Wow.
With all that user-generated content, scaling that must be incredibly difficult. You've got huge concerns around data privacy, obviously, but also the content itself. How do platforms even begin to manage that volume? Misinformation, hate speech.
Yeah.
It's a minefield.
It is.
Finding that balance between open chat and keeping things safe and, compliant thinking, GDPR and things like that, it feels like walking a tightrope.
It absolutely is a tightrope. And there's another layer of complexity, too, for everyone involved, users and businesses alike. Platform fragmentation, tool overload.
Yeah. Tell me about it. It can feel like you're juggling way too many things, right? You're on Slack for work, then you jump into a Discord for a hobby, then you remember you asked a question on some specific forum somewhere else.
Exactly. It's scattered all over the place.
And that scattering makes it incredibly hard to track anything coherently. For businesses trying to measure success, forget it. It really hinders understanding performance, figuring out what's actually working, makes it tough to know where to invest resources. Okay, so real hurdles: engagement, moderation, fragmentation. But despite all that, there were some really interesting trends emerging, things that could reshape the future here and maybe even help overcome some of those challenges.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in the horizon?
Well, one of the most exciting areas, I think, is AI. AI-enhanced community management. And we're not just talking basic spam filters here. This is about shifting the whole role of the moderator, from just reacting to bad stuff to proactively shaping the community.
How so?
Think advanced natural language processing for understanding sentiment, algorithms that recommend relevant content to the right people, even predictive stuff like AI that spots potential conflicts brewing or identifies who the key influencers are or suggests discussion topics before anyone even asks.
Wow. Okay.
These tools are genuinely making it easier to scale, to personalize the experience, and keep things secure and lively without needing, a massive army of human moderators watching every post.
Yeah. That's a significant shift for moderators. And speaking of scaling and making things sustainable, monetization. We're seeing that pop up much more directly within communities, right?
Definitely.
Creators, companies offering subscriptions, exclusive content, maybe even courses. It almost feels like, I don't know, a return to an older model, like patronage, where you directly support the creator you value instead of just relying on ads everywhere. Is that fair?
I think that's a very fair comparison, and it's significant. The platforms themselves are building in payment tools, event features. It really empowers those niche creators, those professionals, to build actual sustainable businesses around their communities.
And the implication for quality must be huge, too.
Exactly. The incentive changes. You're incentivized to provide real, high value to a dedicated audience that's paying you directly. That fosters deeper connection, not just chasing clicks or broad appeal like traditional social media. So, yeah, potentially much higher quality, more specialized content, more authentic interaction. Because success depends directly on the value you give that community.
Interesting. And the last piece seems to be mobile and multi-channel. It's not just nice to have anymore. It's table stakes, right? Mobile first.
Absolutely. It has to be.
And it feels like it's more than just making the website look okay on a phone. It's about integrating it into our daily flow. Notifications, quick interactions,
Yeah.
making it feel seamless.
Precisely. Mobile use just dominates everything now. So the platforms have to deliver a completely seamless mobile experience. And beyond that, integrations are key. Connecting seamlessly with social media, with email, with CRM systems, all of that. It helps maintain those connections across different touch points, different devices, so it doesn't feel fragmented. Even if the user interacts in multiple places, it becomes one cohesive journey.
Right, okay. So pulling this all together, what does it all mean? We've taken this deep dive into online community platforms. It's clearly a space that's just buzzing with innovation, but it's also complex, navigating some real challenges. Yet the potential for connection, for growth, it's incredible.
It really is. And
Yeah.
maybe a final thought to leave people with. Given these really powerful forces we've discussed, the AI integration, these new monetization models shaping how these communities work, what does that actually mean for the nature of, well, genuine human connection, for peer-to-peer support within these digital spaces going forward? Is it all going to become more automated, more transactional? Or could it, maybe paradoxically, become even more deeply human because it's so curated and specific? Something to definitely mull over.